It is peak traffic hour, and your central database just snaps to black. A database stores every piece of your company's information, and right now, it's offline. You are actively bleeding money by the second. The instinct is to jump onto a call and interrogate the team. You demand to know who was monitoring the sensors and why this wasn't caught 10 minutes ago. You see this interrogation as an efficient triage of the situation, but to the engineers trying to fix the code, it feels like an interrogation. Reacting with frustration to a disaster doesn't actually stop the next one from happening. It just ensures that your team will stop telling you when they see the warning signs. Problems begin to grow in silence because your team has learned that looking competent is safer than being honest. When you demand containment, learning, and accountability all in the same panicked meeting, you change the internal calculus of the room. You teach every person watching that speaking up is a career risk. This timeline shows how a high-pressure reaction structurally breaks a company's internal feedback loop. A feedback loop is the path information takes from the person who discovers a problem to the person who can fix it. When you demand all the answers at the same time, you overwhelm the people who have the information you need. They stop solving the technical problem and start focusing on defending their own actions. This same mechanism of silence destroyed Nokia. Their engineers were well aware of the technical flaws in their devices, but because the internal culture made silence safer than questioning the strategy, that information never reached the top. By the time leadership realized the feedback loop was broken, the market had already moved on. Fixing this information flow requires looking at the clock. You have to change the timing of your own reactions. We can track the difference by rewinding the clock back to the exact second that database went dark. Instead of reacting immediately, the leader takes a 30-second pause. This deliberate reset ensures the response focuses on the system, not the person. This initiates the containment phase, the first 24 hours. During this window, only questions about resources needed to restore the system are allowed. Assigning blame and asking why are strictly off-limits. Asking those questions now forces the team to filter the facts to protect themselves. Separating the fix from the blame protects the flow of raw information. You get the truth when you need it most, in the heat of the crisis. Now move 48 hours forward. The servers are back up. The high emotions of the crash have settled, and the team is no longer defensive. This is the learning phase. Now you ask the hard questions. What early warning signals were missed? What was the pattern that led to the crash? Finally, 1 week after the incident, the focus moves to capability building. This is when you make structural changes, like updating a standard operating procedure to ensure a consistent fix. You might revoke unnecessary write access, the ability to change data to prevent manual errors. By spreading the response across 7 days, the team solves the underlying cause of the problem rather than just treating the immediate symptoms. Jump forward several weeks. Your company is on the eve of its biggest sales event of the year. A junior engineer spots a scaling issue deep in the system architecture. Scaling refers to the system's ability to handle a massive surge in users without crashing. A few months ago, this engineer would have stayed quiet. They would have assumed that bringing up a potential problem would just lead to a blame session. But because they saw you handle the last crash with a calm, methodical timeline, they know that flagging a risk is valued. They escalate the issue immediately. Because of that early warning, the fix takes 2 hours and causes 0 damage. You just save the company millions in potential lost revenue. The most expensive problems in any business are the ones your team already knows about but is too afraid to mention. Your first response to a crisis determines whether you'll hear about the next one. Choosing to separate the immediate fix from the long-term lesson is what keeps the information flowing.